All right, 46-2. All right, so went upstairs, and it is indeed the CD. Even though it's called the Center for Disease Control, their purview is anything that messes up Americans. It includes occupational health and safety, sources of accidents. You know, it's not just disease. It's anything that can hurt or kill you. They study and try to make less killing. And there's a thing called the Dickey Amendment, not because it's a dickish amendment, even though it is, from 1996, that says that no research, no funds can go to research that might help promote gun control, which is a crazy prohibition. Because if they find out that, you know, that suicide is 5 times more likely in homes that have guns, you know, that could be seen as promoting gun control. And they're not allowed to do it. And you said you had a response.
Well, yeah, I do. I honestly, I kind of understand why people aren't that interested in funding the research. And
But people are.
well, your side is. The reason that I'm not interested in funding the research, the dog always makes you do something when I'm talking.
The dog was moving the light. If you want the shadows to change.
Yeah, you were looking out for me
I kinda
by
was.
interrupting me.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the deal. I don't need the research. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And I'll go a step further. Without spending $500,000 on research, I assure you that if there's a gun in the home, it's more likely for somebody to use it on a family member or themselves. I believe that. I don't need research. That's the best reason not to do the research, because it's a waste of money. It's obvious to anybody with any common sense. I'm sure if I had a gun in here, I might have been shot by myself or by my girlfriend. So it's not in fact, I'm lucky I'm here today, because there have been so many times that women have wanted to shoot me. But it doesn't matter. The fact that the gun is available and that people can get into trouble with them doesn't mean that I need the government to step in and protect me from myself or my spouse. I'm sorry, that's just none of their business. So I don't care how much research they do on it.
If a product is killing 36,000 Americans a year, then it's possible to argue that, yeah, it is kind of the government's business.
No, actually it isn't the government.
If soda machines squashed 30,000 people a year from people, you know, you don't get your Sprite, and then you yank on the machine teeters over and smashes you. If 30,000 people a year died from that, and it's more like, I don't know, a dozen, then yeah, the government might want to step in and say, you guys need to make less tippy soda machines.
Okay, damn you, Rick. What the fuck is the government going to do?
Soda machines?
No, this is my point. My point is, by the way, you hit me with a stick.
I did. It's
And I
my
want
first
people,
act of violence.
I want people to know that you can use a stick as well as a gun in violence against a Republican. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that I don't want the government to step in to stop me from using a product used properly that is capable of killing somebody. That is not. The government may also find that having a knife in the house makes it more likely for a person to stab themselves. It's just not the government's business. We know. I'm an adult. I don't need my parental government telling me that a gun can be used for me to kill myself.
Yeah, but
I know that.
Might it be helpful?
No, because what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Come and shake their finger at me?
No, but wouldn't you want to know the dimensions of the problem?
No.
I
am virtually certain that every single human being with a gun in their house is more likely to use it to kill themselves. I'm certain of it. You can keep the $250,000 study.
That's a pit.
And furthermore, I'm certain that if me and my wife were arguing about who was the better baseball team, the Mets or the Yankees, that one of us might shoot the other one. I'm sure of it. I don't need a study. And I don't need the government to do the study and find out.
Well,
and then come and what are they going to do? Say, Lance, you should have said it was the Yankees.
Let's talk about a related kind of deal where they also have a hard time finding global statistics that cover the entire U.S., which is people shot by cops.
There's that's been studied exhaustively. They know every single detail of that.
Not really. There's no overall because states are not required
no,
to report.
There was a Harvard study recently, and I'm fond of repeating it to you. It found out that white cops were less likely to shoot black people committing the same crime than they were to shooting a white person.
Fine, so Harvard does a study, but do they have access to every person shot by a cop across all 50
Rick,
states?
It was an exhaustive Harvard study.
That doesn't mean that it was complete.
And it was done by a black professor.
Okay, fine, but it doesn't mean it was complete.
Are you questioning the competence of a black professor?
No, what I'm questioning is, or what I'm saying is, that there's no universal
There are
requirement.
FBI statistics on guns used by police.
Yeah, but those
assure you,
statistics are not complete.
They're fine, Rick. Really.
But they're not complete because the standards for reporting this stuff are not consistent from state to state, and so they're not complete. So one part of getting a handle on
believe
stuff.
you. I don't believe you.
Then next break
we can
go
look
up.
that up.
But we can look it up. But you should believe me that the statistics are not complete.
Well, how did this Harvard
he used
professor
what
do a
statistics
study?
he could get.
And people were keeping the statistics from him? They didn't want him to know?
Just different states have different standards for reporting this kind of stuff. And
they lie to the FBI?
They don't lie, they just don't report.
Yeah, I don't. All right, well, this is news to me, guys.
Yeah. So, but one part of getting a handle on shit is to hang numbers on it. I mean, common sense says that people being squashed by soda machines is not as big a problem as people being injured or killed in car wrecks. But for bigger problems, you want to have the actual numbers.
Okay, great. Now what? Can we talk about something else?
Sure, let's talk about, I guess, John Bolton.
Okay.
Here, let me make my little thing and then you can demolish it. John Bolton, liberals are afraid of John Bolton because he makes all sorts of threatening warlike statements, like it might be good to do a preemptive strike on North Korea or even a preemptive nuclear strike. And so, yeah, the liberal media is like, yeah, if anybody's going to get us into a war with North Korea or Iran, it's going to be John Bolton. And, I'll give you to some extent that might be liberal hype, or at least you're going to say it is. Or you may also say, that Iran needs some bombs dropped on it because they're still building nukes surreptitiously. But I just want to say one thing, which is that he was one of the guys who helped convince America to do Iraq War Part 2 in 2003, and which led to, according to some estimates, the deaths of 1 million people. And you like to say that the I don't know, couple 100,000 deaths that came in the Obama and post-Obama era, those are the ones that are treasonous and a huge failure of Obama. But I gotta say, that doesn't include the rest of the 1 million deaths. All right, so Obama effed up and hundreds of thousands of people died. But before Obama, you know, the lion's share of these
Stop moving your hand.
of these 1 million dead people died.
Okay, all right. One, I'm happy to check that statistic because I don't think 1 million people were killed by the American attack on Iraq. I think that's a wild exaggeration. And it's...
Well, let me say that, yeah, I don't think it necessarily has to be 1 million, but I'd also say that it's hard to, in that part of the world, it's hard to get exact figures.
Listen, all night you've been doing this thing where people don't have exact figures. You know, okay, I know that the second war against Iraq was over very quickly. And
then you had the rolling Civil War joke.
Yeah, but it was a sort of an insurrection where they were like gang warfare, and I don't think 1 million people were killed. I think you're listening to more propaganda. I think it's really sad that the media wants to turn you against your own country by lying about statistics on how many people we killed. Well, it was freaking stupid because the media told you it was freaking stupid.
Well, because we went after WMDs that didn't exist. Now you say, yes, they did exist, but no, they didn't freaking exist.
Stop telling me what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Okay. John Bolton was right to tell us to attack Iraq. That was a war that we won with, you said it last week, less than maybe 5,000 or 6,000 American deaths.
But a shitload of deaths across, you know,
not 1 million.
But many hundreds of thousands.
I don't know what the exact number was, but it was not a bloodbath, and the media is trying to convince you that it was because they want you to be a traitor.
Well,
and
it was a money bath. Yeah, it cost like $4 trillion.
Okay, I don't care about the money. We needed to fight Saddam, and we had just been attacked on 9/11, and Bush was doing the responsible thing as a leader of our country and attacking everybody that was a problem for us. And I wanted him to do that.
At that point, anyway, I don't know if we need to have this.
Well, why did you bring it up then?
Well, because
so you're allowed to spread a lot of shit, and then if I try to defend it, you're not sure we need to talk about it. Well, if you talked about it, then I have to talk about it.
Iraq wasn't a problem.
Yes, Iraq was a problem. They were shooting at our planes. They were.
But they weren't flying planes into our buildings.
There are books that I can refer you to that say that Saddam was secretly meeting with Al-Qaeda, meeting with our enemies, and he was continuing his aggression against our country. He had attacked the Kurds, he had attacked Kuwait, he'd attacked Iran. He was a danger to the whole region. He was a danger to Israel. He was attacking our planes. He wasn't living up to his agreement. We didn't know exactly who was responsible for all the attacks coming at us after 9/11, and I'm glad that Bush acted to destroy one of our enemies.
We didn't even go to war against him because of 9/11. We went after him for having WMDs.
No, that wasn't the only reason. That was a reason that was sort of offered up. But the reason was strategic. Our country was in danger, and we were looking to diminish the number of enemies we had in the world.
And we ended up creating more.
No. What we did was we crushed one of our enemies, which was actually would have been a humanitarian gesture because we liberated them from their evil leader that really was killing hundreds of thousands of Iraqi civilians. So from a moral standpoint, it was the right thing to do. And I mean, that is if you really love Iraqis.
I looked it up, and more people died per month post Saddam than during the end of Saddam.
Okay,
we
well,
took him out.
it was, and more people died fighting Hitler in Germany than when Hitler was firmly in power and there was no war. That's what happens. In order to get rid of dictators.
That's a weird.
Yeah. In order to have dictators step down, you have to have a war. And during that war, civilians die. They died in Germany to get rid of Hitler, and they died in Iraq to get rid of Saddam.
No, after Saddam, because we had had inadequate plans for the peace.
Okay, well
you have this civil war.
Okay. And eventually, by the time Bush left office, 2008, the violence had gone to where there was hardly any. There were more American soldiers being dying from training accidents in the U.S. than they were from dying in Iraq. The country had been pacified, and then it was up to you traitors, Democrats, to pull the troops out and cause civil war to break out, which is what was predicted.
Civil war went on under Bush. The war was
pacified. The country of Iraq was pacified.
After 2 or 3 years
of
civil war.
All right, it didn't work out perfectly for you. Sorry, Rick.
So the civil war under Bush, you're pretty cool with that. But the civil war under Obama, that is treason.
Okay, Rick, when you attack Iraq and you wipe out their army in a few weeks.
And you fire all the Baathists.
Oh, okay. Don't give me that shit. The plan didn't work out perfectly. There were casualties. Sometimes the enemy gets a vote. Sometimes the enemy gets to rejigger and plan their attacks back. And they managed to get a guerrilla warfare system going.
The vast majority of people who've looked at that war say that there were inadequate plans for the peace.
I don't care.
No,
Rick, I don't care, because in every single war, our country makes huge mistakes. That's what happens. In World War II, we made big mistakes. We landed people on the wrong beach at Normandy. Okay, we lost 7,000 guys on Omaha Beach. These things happen. And the fact is that after we crushed their army, they mounted an insurgency. It took a couple years to put it down, but it was put down. And that's when Obama came into office and made sure that we would lose and that civil war would be broken out. He wanted there to be civil war. He pulled out all of our troops and made sure we lost.
So Bush's civil war is an honest mistake, and
yes.
Obama's civil war is treason.
Well, yeah, it was treason, because what Bush had to do was defeat a hardened enemy in a country that had 21 million people in it. And they were hopping mad at us. And they were fighting to take over their government, to defeat us and to defeat each other. That was Bush's problem. Obama had one problem. He had to make one decision. Do I leave 20,000 men on a base in Iraq and have total pacification of the country, or do I pull them out and have civil war that costs 250,000 lives? And he pulled them out and got 250,000 people killed. There's a big difference between having a war and not being able to foresee every possible circumstance, and having the enemy be tougher than you thought, and having there be peace and causing a civil war.
Here's where I'm an asshole, and I turn to the camera and say, read up on the Iraq War and whether it was justified, and how incompetent the aftermath was. Do your own reading. Just go to frickin' Wikipedia and read about the Iraq War. And see if we, if it's as you present it, an honest mistake on the one hand and treason on the other. So anyway, we got Bolton, and Bolton was he was titties deep in getting us to go
There's
into.
two things I like that Bolton said recently.
Okay.
One, we're probably going to have to bomb Iran because they're never going to give up the nuclear program, because the mullahs are driven by a crazy religious zeal to try to destroy us. I like it that he said that.
This is something
I like that he said that. Number two.
But hold on, let's do that point first, because we can't really have that much of a fight here, because I tend to agree with the idea that Iran will probably get bombed at some point, because they probably still are kind of surreptitiously doing nukes.
Okay, then Bolton is your man. He's the best man to be in charge for that such a circumstance. The second thing that he said,
I don't know if I agree with that, but the idea that we're going to bomb them is probably a thing.
well, then you want the leader, you want the man that's predicting it and planning for it to be the one in charge.
I don't know if I want a guy who thinks that having that mustache is a good idea.
Okay. The second thing he said that was quite intelligent was that Korea could be playing for time again because they may be reaching another critical breakthrough in their nuclear program. And they have a habit of engaging us in conversation when they're secretly developing an advantage in their nuclear weapons. So what Bolton said 2 weeks ago was we should be happy to talk with them about their disarmament. And one of the things we should tell them is, where do you want us to park our ships so that we can load your nuclear missiles onto them and bring them back to San Diego? So he's got a no-nonsense approach to North Korea. Unlike Kerry and Clinton, who were fooled by North Korea into thinking they wanted peace, Bolton is the kind of guy that is not going to take any guff from them. He knows that they can't be trusted, and if they are ever to be disarmed, they're going to be disarmed by a hard-nosed, deeply suspicious hawk like Bolton. So he's the perfect man for both North Korea and Iran.
So the argument against that, or him, is that in 2003 you got us into a wasteful and unnecessary war.
It was absolutely necessary, unless you wanted Saddam Hussein to still be in charge of Iraq. Would that be nice?
Well, you were saying that some stuff is none of the government's business or none of our business.
Well, no. One of the only thing that I want the government to do, the thing I'm certain that they should be doing, is defending me from countries that might want to attack me.
All right, so our country gets attacked on 9/11/2001, and you got to go in and tip over the Taliban in Afghanistan.
Yes. Why stop there?
Well,
I want anybody that is an asshole to be tipped over.
Well,
if we could have bombed all of our enemies, including Russia and China, I would have been in favor of it, except they would have not hit us back. After 9/11, I want the enemies of the United States to be defeated. You don't. You want mercy. I don't.
No,
You want mercy. Like
I just said
you
no.
see Saddam's side of it. You know, maybe
I don't see Saddam's
maybe
side. No.
he's an innocent man.
No.
I give him
He's
the
a guy
benefit of the doubt.
He's a guy that killed probably tens of thousands of his own citizens.
Hundreds of thousands, Rick.
And
you're
no,
okay
wait,
with
let
that.
me finish the
You're
fucking
okay with
sentence.
that.
Tens of thousands on average every year. So yeah, that adds up to hundreds of thousands.
Thank you,
And
Rick.
he's got rapey kids.
Yeah. Thank you.
But do we want to spend $4 trillion taking him down?
Yes. Because he's a danger to the U.S. and the one The one thing
No,
I
because
don't
he's-
want to save money on is defending my country from crazy people that want to kill us.
So you go in, I just said you want to go into Afghanistan where you've got the Taliban, you've got a bunch of other bad actors who were involved in the attacks.
Yes.
You probably want to do something about Pakistan because in their frontier areas that they share with Afghanistan, you have a bunch of bad actors. You want to do something about Saudi Arabia because there were 19 hijackers, 20 if you include the one who didn't get on the plane. And
Get to the point, Rick.
I don't know, 17 of them were from Saudi.
Oh, okay, get to the point. But the one guy we got to leave alone is Iraq.
Well,
That's
Iraq
where
wasn't
that's
involved.
where Rick draws the line.
Iraq is where we got the most people killed and spent the most money.
Okay, I'm all for it.
And Iraq was the least involved.
I would do
in
it
the,
again.
In the,
I don't care. New York is smoking in rubble. And
so attack as somebody who
yes.
didn't do the attack.
I don't believe he was innocent. He was working with Al Qaeda. It's just not well publicized by your handlers.
you have all these
your
minority.
brainwashers.
No,
your
you
brainwashers
have all
didn't
these
tell you that.
opinions that are not shared by the majority of
Well,
experts on this shit.
they're not shared by your brainwashers. Your brainwashers told you Saddam was innocent. I'm telling you he wasn't. Who do you think, using the 10,000 IQ brain, do you think we were not going to have trouble with Iraq, with Saddam? You think that guy was innocent party? Was he like the president of Canada? The prime minister of Canada? Was he like the prime minister of New Zealand?
No.
Do you think there was no problem? Oh, we can worry about everybody, but this one guy, Saddam Hussein, let's leave
We
him.
didn't go to war against everybody but one guy.
No, we needed-
We beat him badly and easily in
That wasn't
1991.
enough. That wasn't enough. He was still attacking our airplanes. He was violating our airspace. He was still oppressing his
How
own
many
people.
planes did he shoot at?
He shot it at them every time they flew over his country.
How many planes
I
did he
didn't
shoot
count.
down?
I didn't count.
How many planes did he shoot
missed.
down? So he didn't shoot down any plane.
Rick thinks because he missed, then it's
All right,
not a problem.
so a
he
guy-
missed.
So a guy, the guy
You know what? You know what, Rick? He missed. You're right.
a guy is shooting at our plane, so we spend $4 trillion.
I just spent $5 trillion. I don't care. I want the guy dead.
It took like what, $250 billion or less to knock down the Taliban
I don't care
in
about the money.
Afghanistan?
I don't care about the money. New York has been attacked.
But he wasn't the one doing
I
it.
don't believe that. There are people that say he was working with Afghanistan, with Al Qaeda.
What percent of the people who know their shit are saying that?
I don't need to know a percentage. I am intelligent. No. I can trust my own mind. You can't. All those IQ points are wasted.
No, but you are.
I know
you're
that
at least as
no.
brainwashed as I am because you think everything that was done under Bush is fine and everything under Obama is treason.
Okay, I wanted Iraq attacked. I didn't know what Bush was going to do. I wanted Iraq attacked. I wanted that son of a bitch dead. I wanted that country occupied.
But you were okay with leaving the son of a bitch Gaddafi in place because you say it was a disaster when we attacked him.
The situation with Gaddafi could have been handled differently.
Oh, you know what Gaddafi did? He didn't just shoot at our planes. He shot our passenger jet down and killed 400 innocent Americans.
Yeah, and Reagan attacked him. Do you forget?
Yeah, but
He
you're
attacked
saying
his palace.
he tried to.
Yeah, and Gaddafi actually gave up
But
his
when-
nuclear. Wait, Gaddafi after we deposed Saddam, Gaddafi gave up his nuclear program. He invited inspectors in. He was actually cooperating with us when Obama killed him and caused civil war in Libya. And now Libya is a slave state. Libya is now run by various terrorist organizations. Don't you interrupt me. You brought up Gaddafi. Now that is a failed state where thousands of people are being killed and black people are being put into slavery. And it was all because of Obama.
So again, under Bush, knocking down
No.
dictators.
Under Bush, Gaddafi was cooperating. I don't say we need to kill somebody if they're cooperating.
Yeah, well, most people say Saddam.
No, he was not cooperating. He was shooting at us.
He was shooting at our planes. Yeah, right.
That doesn't bother you.
Not $4 trillion and hundreds of
Okay,
thousands
I don't
of
want.
dead
I
people.
don't. No. It doesn't. It bothers me. I'm not going to let people shoot at our planes.
$4 trillion.
$4 trillion.
If you make a list
I don't
of the
care.
most
I don't care.
expensive
I don't
wars in
care.
history, it's got to be in the top 7. For a guy who wasn't particularly, he's taking pot shots at planes we were.
Yeah, and I believe and there are people.
Were there any other countries doing this that we didn't blow up?
No. He was the only one. And by the way, as I say, there are people that say he was working with Al Qaeda. There are meetings that he was having with Al Qaeda. So I mean, my problem is this: you're willing, for reasons that I don't understand, to let Saddam live. I mean, I don't know what kind of a father you are. You don't care about your daughter.
What the fuck are you saying?
Yeah, you don't care. You don't care if Saddam is in charge and maybe attacks America again.
He wasn't
You don't
attacking.
care.
Well, that's a shitty thing to say.
You don't care what happens. You'll let him.
You're-
I mean, what if your daughter was in the Air Force? Women are always pilots these days. They're all flying fighter pilots. What if Saddam shot a missile at your daughter? How would you like that?
That's a ridiculous example.
What if Saddam shot a missile at one of your buddies in a plane? Would you say that was okay?
No, but you don't go to full scale.
Yes, you do. It's an act of war, Rick. It's in the Geneva Convention. It's all written down. If you fire on somebody's military, that's an act of war. He knew it. We knew it.
Did we go to full war against Libya when they shot down our passenger jet? You just
We
said
attacked
no.
them.
We attacked them. We didn't do a $4 trillion war. We didn't take out Gaddafi.
Because Gaddafi had not shown himself to be capable of invading Kuwait, of invading Iran, of threatening Israel with a nuclear reactor. Saddam was slaughtering his own people with gas. He was slaughtering thousands of Kurds. He was killing hundreds of thousands of his own people. He'd taken over one of our allies, Kuwait.
Yeah, we
And
went
he-
in
and he-
we
and he
went
was-
in 1991
Yeah,
and
okay,
we kicked him out in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and we needed to finish the job. And if it wasn't for the Democrats, that would have been a very
Anyway,
inexpensive
read about
struggle.
the frickin' war. We're moving on to something else. What's the next thing?
Who put you in charge?
Because we've had this argument a zillion times.
Well, you're the one that keeps bringing it up. You hate John Bolton now. The media's convinced you. Now you got to hate Bolton. You know why you hate Bolton? You hate Bolton.
mustache.
You hate Bolton
the
because
mustache that looks like a mushroom cloud.
it's a decent joke. I won't
Okay.
deny it.
All right.
But the reason you hate Bolton, besides the mustache, is that the liberal media is telling you to hate whatever Trump does. That's it.
No, people have thought Bolton. I mean,
He's the right man for the job. To negotiate with North Korea, he's the perfect man.
people have thought that he's kind of an a-hole since long before Trump. But anyway, what's the next thing?
Well, we wanted to talk about the car that ran somebody over. Like the robots that shot the first bullet.
Okay, so whose car was it?
I think it was
Anyway,
a self-driven car.
it was a self-driving car, car driven by artificial intelligence, hit a woman walking her bicycle across the street and killed her. And I don't know, I'm not sure we have something to argue about. I'm surprised that more people aren't more pissed off and freaked out about it. People are like, mistakes will happen and it's part of the learning process. And I don't see people getting all worked up about it, which surprises me. But maybe it's part of the tendency that people under-acknowledge the technological changes that are going to come along and that are, underway.
I have no opinion.
All right. What else?
Yeah. Okay. So there was an article today on. Well, it was Fox News that I read. I looked at CNN, looked at Fox News, but there was an article about the FBI agent that was fired.
McCabe?
McCabe, right? And there was a a woman that he gave hell to, that he worked under. That's going to be coming out, and that he's not quite the altar boy or angel that he's making himself out to be.
We don't know. Aren't we
basically-
eventually going to see the Inspector General's report on what got him in trouble?
We will see that. But I just basically what so is there, where is the Mueller investigation in your perception right now? And is the deep state argument a foil?
Well, it turns out that phrases like deep state and drain the swamp were developed were developed before Trump ever, not by Trump, and long before Trump ever decided to run for president, given the possibility that he might be persuaded to run for president by like the Cambridge Analytica folks. That they were already sloganizing, or that the focus groups that people were already trying to develop branding language for Trump before he ever decided to run for president. So that whole deep state thing is a nice branding thing. That anything that is associated with government is ominous and is trying to fuck us up. With Mueller, I think I've said this before. I think he has to be very cognizant of the electoral landscape. That if he wants, I'm not sure how that he can get. I'm not sure the law is clear on what Trump could be charged with as president. And if Mueller wants him impeached, he can't be impeached as long as there's a Republican majority in the House, because they seem to be pretty tolerant of the way he is, because he helps them get what they want, which leads to another sub. So I think Mueller will be really, doing his indictments and all that stuff with an eye towards affecting the midterm elections.
Blanche, do you want to comment on the
One of the things that McCabe was fired for is that, as you guys know, or at least as the Republicans know, I don't know, you're a Democrat, so God knows what you think. But when it was found that Sessions had some sort of meeting at a party with he had spoken to the Russian ambassador and forgot to mention it during a Senate hearing, they accused Jeff Sessions of colluding with the Russians. And so nothing was ever proven. I mean, nobody has ever, nobody has ever doubted that it was just an innocent meeting. The Russian ambassador is in Washington, and Jeff Sessions was a senator, so it wasn't that unusual that they would meet and speak at some point. And it turned out that the only thing that happened was that Sessions had forgotten because it was so inconsequential. But McCabe didn't forget. What McCabe did was, upon hearing this, he started an investigation of Jeff Sessions. And people realized, my God, you've got the FBI using any excuse they can to investigate any of Trump's appointees. Nothing ever came of it. Nobody in their right mind is suggesting that Jeff Sessions was colluding with the Russians. But the fact that the second in charge of the FBI, McCabe, would use that as an excuse to investigate the Trump administration's Attorney General is a perfect example of the deep state, and exactly the kind of thing that we're trying to stop in this country. Don't you interrupt me. You talked for a half an hour just then. Now, the second thing is, another example of the deep state is that the Obama administration used the IRS to harass their political opponents.
No, we're not going there again.
Yeah,
Fucking
I'm
Lois.
going there because I'm an adult, and
How many minutes
I
do
can
we
go
have
there.
left here?
No, I can go
We have
there.
3
I
minutes.
can go there, Rick, and it's a perfect example of the deep state. And not only is it just my opinion, but it was also the opinion of the court, which found that the IRS had done this, and forced the IRS, forced a judgment against them, and forced all of the top people in the IRS to resign or be fired. So yes, Rick, the Obama administration was using the deep state, and it was proven in a court of law, to harass their political opponents.
Not exactly.
Prove me wrong.
We can't. We got 2.5 minutes.
Prove
So,
me wrong.
for next time. All right, bad for next time if you really want to revisit that shit. And also for next time, just having a rapscallion.
You like someone that can't answer a question and evades? You mean somebody that just pretends that they've got an argument but really doesn't, like yourself? Using the IRS
I said for next
to
time.
harass the political opponents.
We've had this argument a bunch of times
That's
before.
the deep state. That is the deep state.
Maybe it is. I mean, I'll read the court ruling again because I don't remember the whole deal. But for next...
Well, why did Lois Lerner get resigned? Why? Why did that happen?
You
Why
said,
did
no, you didn't say just Lois Lerner. You said everybody at the top of the IRS.
Yeah, all of her assistants.
Were they found guilty of malfeasance, or did they just get hassled so much they said fuck it?
Oh, they were just tired
But
of
anyway,
working.
so let me...
En masse, they decided, I don't like this job anymore.
Yeah, if they were getting... All right, so...
Well, no,
anyway,
the court found that they were used by the government against the government's political opponents. But you are okay with that, right?
we've had this...
I
argument
can't.
before.
You see, the reason that it bothers me is when I can present to you a court ruling, that's not
And
enough.
I know I read-
Facts don't matter to you anymore.
No, I went upstairs and I read the court ruling like weeks ago, and I don't, or months ago, and I don't remember the whole deal
Yeah,
anymore.
but the ruling was in my favor, so there's just
Yeah,
nothing I can do.
it-
What have I got to do? Drag a dead body in here?
Listen.
How do I prove to you?
Shut up for a second. The ruling was in your favor, but I don't remember the specifics. So I'm going to go home this week and bone up on the thing so I can discuss it with you. You're probably basically right about that frickin' instance.
So is there a deep state?
Not in every frickin' instance. No, it's branding, the same way death tax and all that crap.
So when the Obama administration used the IRS to harass its political opponents, it
Yeah,
wasn't. It was just branding. They were branding.
It's your favorite example. It's where you go all the time. And yeah,
Because
maybe
it's right. I'm sorry.
But
I have proof. You
but
don't.
It's not global or pervasive.
When Andrew McKay is launching an investigation against an innocent man,
McCabe
Jeff
got
Sessions,
fired.
he got
Maybe-
fired. Yeah, they stopped him.
So-
They caught him.
Okay, so, but